Good morning everybody and welcome back to another Simply Made Saturday with me, Helen Armstrong from Pandrapops Crafting Joyful Moments. I'm an independent demonstrator from Wilmslow in the northwest of England. So today we are going to be playing with Sunset Coast stamp set, which is part of the Scenic Coast bundle that you can get. It comes with dies, some gorgeous paper as well, and some embellishments, but we're just going to be playing with the stamp set and the gorgeous paper. So the paper is Scenic Coast, and I'm just going to grab it. So I seem to have lost my paper. Lost my paper. It's directly below. So this is the paper we're using. It is gorgeous. I don't know whether you can maybe catch a little bit of that shimmer. So there are 6 different papers, but there's 48 in total. So you get 8 of each paper, which is really good. So that's the back of that one. This is rather pretty with the strawberry slush in it. That's the back of that one. That's that one. They are gorgeous. And each one has that slight shimmer to it. This is one of my favourites. It's slightly stormy. And then we have that one. Oh, sorry, I didn't show you the back of that one. Okay, so we're going to be making 3 cards this morning. We're going to be making this one, a happy retirement card. We're also going to be making a nice note card. And then we're going to stuff it up and do a little bit of gluing and sticking, putting some stripes on with this one. Okay, so we'll get started. We are going to get started first of all with this one because we need these strips of paper to dry on the card. I'm going to be bringing in my silicone mat just so I don't get glue everywhere. Today's card measurements are the same as normal, so they're 14.9 by 14.9 and 10.5. The backing for these cards is what am I saying? I've lost my train of thought, sorry. The backing for the some of the cards that we're putting on will be 10 by 14.4, and then the inner one is 9.5 by 13.9. Yes, I will eventually get that. So with this particular card, what we're going to do first is we're going to start sticking some strips down. So I'm just going to put lots of glue on. And then I'm going to pick up my strips. So I have my strips here. I'm just going to move them into shot a little bit. Yeah, so I have my strips and I'm just going to start layering. This one, you'll see I did with the shimmer side. This one I'm actually going to do with the other side just to see if we get a little bit more what it looks like. Does it look better? Does it, do we like it? Do we prefer it? So yeah, let's just have a play. I'm just going to move a little bit of glue over there. And then I'm going to bring in a yellow. I'm using my leftovers from what I did with the other card, if I can. Okay, blue. So 1, 2, done that one. Need a large piece of blue if I have a big piece of blue. If not, yep, that will just about fit. Not quite. Okay, instead I'm now going to turn it round and I'm going to have my stripes coming the other way, and we're just going to start building from the edge. That would be better. So we're going a different way now. And what I can do is I can trim that piece off just with my scissors a bit. Okay, I'm going to turn it around again. I'm changing my mind each time. That's the best way of doing this. You know, I've not done it the way I was going to do it, so let's take those two off. Okay, and let's just layer a small piece of my blue if I've got a very small piece, which I don't, but I'll trim it off. Right, we're just going to layer that on there. Yeah, I think I've worked out what I did last time. What you need to do is make sure that you have you can butt up with a straight edge, not having to cut. That is always what you would prefer to do when doing this type of card. Just makes it a lot simpler than having to trim off lots. Okay. And last bit of purple on there. Okay, and then we're going to start again, but this time I'm going to turn it around again, and we're going to go straight from here. So I'm going to start with my yellow. And then I might bring in this lovely blue because we've hardly used it. Okay, and then I'm going to swap it around again. And we're going to have, I'm just going to add a tiny bit more blue. So we're going to have that gorgeous pink. Let's put a little bit of that purple in. And then we can pick up a blue. And then we need one last piece. Just looking at what I've got left. And let's just pop that purple in there. Right, okay. So I need to now leave that to dry, so I'm just going to put that to one side and we're going to get on with our other cards. So all I did when I cut out that paper was I just put my papers together and cut 1.5 centimetre strips. And that seemed to work quite nicely with the card. Okay, so next card we're going to be doing, or starting, well, we'll actually finish this one, is this one here, where it's the simplest of them all. We've not got anything backing onto it. The only thing extra is that I put a bit of strip down here. Okay, so I'm going to just put that there. Bring in my card. And I'm also going to bring in my trimmer because we need to trim this down. So we need this to be 9.5 by 13. Let me just, 9.5 by 13.9 to give a nice border around it. So I worked out sort of around about 4.2 would be the middle, 4.23 centimetres. So I'm just looking to see where my sun is, and I'd like it to be around about in the middle. So all I'm going to do is just place that there, trim off that edge. Okay, and then I'm going to turn it round, and then I'm going to put it at 9.5. And then trim there. So, I mean, you can see I didn't get exactly in the middle, but I'm happy with that, close enough. And then we're going to trim this down to 13.9, but I want to trim it from the bottom because I want as much of this stormy sky as possible. So 13.9, but we're going to keep that bottom piece because we want to put it on the inside of our card. Okay, so let's bring in the card. Can move that out the way for a little bit. I don't think we need it again actually. I'm going to stick this on the front of our card. So I'm just using normal glue. Or Tombow glue from Stampin' Up. Well, you can get it anywhere, but Stampin' Up do sell it. And it is my favourite way of sticking things down. And I'm just going to open it and I'm going to put the inside of our card in. So the inside of our card is 9.5 centimetres by 13.9. Try and get that as straight as possible, which, you know me, tends not to happen. So just take your time over it, and hopefully you'll get yours straighter than I get mine. But as I always say, it is a handmade card, so people are not expecting perfection. You know, people who receive handmade cards are just absolutely thrilled that somebody's gone to the effort of making them one. All right, so we need to now do a little bit of stamping for this card. So I'm going to use the same stamp as I used before, and I'm using Secret C to stamp. So I've used the Adventure Continues, and I've added a little bit, 2 of the boats which come in the stamp set, and then Happy Retirement in the middle. So that's what I'm going to do again. So let's just pick it up. Now I am stamping straight on. If you're not happy with stamping straight on, you can obviously stamp it on some other card, or you can stamp on some more of this and just trim it round. It's up to you. But these stamps are really, really effective. They work really, really well on this paper. They take the ink really nicely. So I'm just going to quickly clean that off. And then we need our Happy Retirement. I'm going to put that on the inside. Again, if you're not happy stamping straight down, don't stick your the inner in. And I've just realised I don't have my lights on, do I? So let's just quickly switch my lights on, which might make things look a little bit better, brighter. Sorry about that. Okay, so now we have our Happy Retirement in the middle. I'm just going to give that a quick clean. And then I'm going to add our boats. Again, I'm going to add them in Secret C. Okay. So I'm going to have that one just sat on the top. And I'm going to have this one just slightly further down. There we go. Change the places about where they are, but yeah. Okay. So that's the first card done. So again, measurements are 14.9 on the long side, 10.5 on this side, and then I've trimmed the paper down to 9.5 on the short side and 13.9 on the long side. And again, your middle piece is 9.5 on the short side, 13.9 on the long side. But yeah, so got those 2 done. All right, so let's bring in this one, which is what we're going to do next. So I've just changed the way that this opens. I liked this paper very much. And again, it was slightly difficult to try and find the right centre bit, but let's give that a go. So I'm going to bring in, again, our trimmer with the papers that I need. So let me just find my card. Put that to one side, otherwise, you know me, I'll be putting my hands in the ink. Okay, so again with this one, I tried to locate where my sun was. I wanted it to be sort of centered on the page again, so I was looking at where about just around about 4.5 maybe, and then let's trim it down. just make sure you keep your little bits because they can be used on that the other type of card. That way we've just done the stripe card. Or you can use it for the inner bit of your of this card. Okay, so I'm then going to trim it down to 9.5. And what I'm going to actually do is, because I know this needs to be 13.9, I'm just going to trim that down so I've got the bit to put on the inside of my card. Okay. We can then build our card. So with this one, I decided I was going to put a white background, as you can see here below, underneath this. And I'm going to carry on, and I've just realised I've not trimmed this side bit down, have I, to 13.9. Okay, so let's have a look where 13.9 is. I'm going to actually take that down to, I'm going to go up to 14.4 and take that edge off. And then I'm going to move it down to 13.9 and take that little edge off. Again, please keep all your little bits. Don't get rid of them. You'll always need something, a little bit of extra colour, pop of colour on something, and they're always useful. And you can definitely make a like a patchwork card effect, which is what we've a little bit tried to do with this one here. Okay, so I'm now going to stick this down. So I hope you had a good week. The weather here in the northwest of England has been absolutely hideous. Lots of rain, we've had thunderstorms. It's just not been nice at all, I have to say. Compared to the week before, it's been awful. It's almost as if we're in autumn. It feels definitely like we're in autumn, not in summer, which is very disappointing, unfortunately. But it is the way of the British weather. Right, I'm now going to stick this down on my card front. Let me just quickly get that glue up, as we don't want it sticking to our card. Okay, and I'm just going to layer that on, and then we remember with the Tombow glue we do have that little bit of wiggle room. And I'm just going to see if I can just trim that slightly rough edge off there and slightly rough edge off there. I think I do need to change the blade on my trimmer. And I'm going to put my inside in, which is this one here. So this one again is 9.5 centimetres by 13.9. And stick that in. So these are very simple to make. I know this seems like there's lots of steps, but they are still very simple to make. And then I'm going to add my piece that we cut off to the bottom. Just add a little bit of glue. Don't need a lot because it will stick very, very well. Okay, so I think we just need to do our stamping. So for this one, I've decided to do wherever this note finds you, I hope it finds you happy. I really like that sentiment, so I'm going to stick with that one. So let's bring in our ink again and stamp up. Again, if you're not sure about stamping straight onto your paper, do it on some white or practice before you stamp on your card. But as I say, this is just gorgeous. This Secret Sea on this card is just stunning. I love, well, on any card, I love Secret Sea. As I've said before, Stampin' Up are going to do a colour refresh next year, and I hope that they do keep this Secret Sea. It'll be lovely if they do. I think a lot of us will be disappointed if they don't. Okay, so I'm just going to put my first boat there, and then I'm going to flip my stamp over and put my next one there. There we go. And that is our other card finished. But you know what I'm going to add to the back? I'm going to see if I can add a boat to the back. And then I think it just finishes it off quite nicely. And do the same on our other one as well. And of course you could make your envelopes to match. So you could use the paper, you could use some of the offcuts to add some paper to the flap of your envelope as well, which would finish these cards off beautifully. Okay, so we now have those completed. So let's bring in the piece that we added all our strips to, and we're going to just quickly trim these off. You can either do this with your paper trimmer, or you can do it just like I'm doing with my snips. Stampin' Up are now calling these detail scissors. Are they any different to the original ones? I think they have a slightly pointier end to get right into, you know, if you're wanting that just extra fine step. But that's the only thing I can think of. I honestly don't think there's that much of a difference at all. You know, I keep picking up my old ones and my new ones, and I don't think I'm cutting any differently. So, yeah. But it's nice that Stampin' Up, nice that Stampin' Up have scissors back in. Okay, let's just stick that back down. So again, keep all these bits because you can use them for another card type like this, or for adding a little bit more dimension or what have you. You can, you could add them to you. You could use these to do a line effect like you've done on your card for the envelope to match in with this one. It would look rather good. Yeah, you know, it's just that added little extra that I think makes people think, oh, they've really put some effort into this and thought about it. Right, so now we have this. Okay, we're going to layer it on our card. So just let me get those other bits. And I just realised I don't think I've cut an inner for it, so we'll just have to have a look at the inner on the other one that I did. I don't want to waste any more of your time. I'll make this video any longer than it needs to be. Okay, so let's put this on the front. Try and get it to where it needs to be without me trying to put my head in the shot of this. It's too far over that way, so let's redo this. As I said, I love having that little bit of wiggle room. Yeah, okay, and I've just realised I have ink all over my hands, which is why I'm getting my white card covered in it. So I apologise for that. Yeah, and I've also realised, yeah, my trimmer definitely needs a new blade because that's not straight either. Okay, so let's stick this now to our card. Just going to lift it up to see if that's about right. Yep. Okay. And because this is quite busy, I didn't think we could actually stamp straight on to the card itself. So I have punched out a piece of white so we can stamp onto that and then add it with dimensionals to the card. And I'm going to use the Adventure Continues again. So this could be another retirement card, or if somebody is graduating this year, it's also a good one for that. So I'm just cleaning these stamps off with my chamois. Let's close that down. Sorry, just realised my card was out of shot there for a little while. And let's bring in our dimensionals. So I'm using the larger dimensionals. You can use anything to stick it on your card. As I say, I'm just using the large dimensionals. So yeah, so the strips are 1.5 centimeters in width. Again, your card bases are normal 10.5 by 14.9, and then your backing piece is 10 along this edge by 14.4. And then your main bit is 9.5 by 13.9. So yeah, and that's the dimensions for all of the cards that we've done today. So yeah, as I say, unfortunately, I have not got an inner for that one, but this was what I put in the middle of that one. And I didn't add a strip for this, but so what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to put our bigger boat in the corner. Just like that. And let's flip it over and add our boat to the back. Okay, so there's our cards done. I hope you've enjoyed this and I hope you had a good look at the Scenic Coast papers and our Sunset Coast stamp set that we've used. Yeah, I do really like this. I do have a class coming up, an online class coming up in July where we'll be using the dies, the stamps and the papers, but I'll tell you more about that. I'll be posting it on my channel. So okay, which one is your favorite out of, is it the back of the paper or is it the front of the paper? Yeah, I really need to stop putting my nails in things, don't I? So ignore that little black spot. I am going to have to put some little gems on there to cover those. Right, my favourite, I think, out of these two is probably the shimmer paper. I do really like the background, but I think I like the shimmer paper better. So I'm going to keep that one front, and then obviously we've got our just very simple, just a bit of stamping, an inner, and then again just layering. So it's very easy, very quick to do. So I hope you've enjoyed that brief tutorial. Yeah, I'll put all the things, the paper, the card and the dimensions that we've used in the description of the video, so you can check that out. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Take care of yourselves and your loved ones. And always remember, craft your joy.